Thanks, Ken. I don't want to go on, but the basic idea is you collect $15 a ton of carbon dioxide equivalent for all fossil fuels coming into the state of Rhode Island. You put it into a fund that's ring-fenced, that's kept for this specific purpose. We're giving 70% of that money right back to taxpayers, to households, at about $84 per person. And then we're giving it back to businesses at a rate around that for each employee. And most companies and most households come out ahead in this system. That is, and if you save money, if you reduce your energy waste, you get to keep more of that money. So that's the basic structure of the bill. And then 30% or 28% is kept for investing in Rhode Island, in the kind of projects we need on energy efficiency, on transportation, on housing, reducing people's energy costs, on renewable energy across the state. It could create thousands of jobs and allow us to really control our own future. There's some new features in the 2018 bill. A lot of them are on these flyers. They're at the back of the room if you did not get one. The big new things are we're creating an oversight board that would include representatives from businesses, NGOs, environmental justice communities, from the scientific community and the transportation sector and so on, historically marginalized groups. And that would sort of oversee how the money was being spent and then report to the legislature every year so there's accountability to you all that this is actually happening in the way it was intended. We're talking about, we've decreased the amount of administrative costs down to just 2% of the funding. That's the maximum. We think it might even be able to be less than that. We're also putting a cap in the legislation this year. It used to say that it would rise by $5 a ton per year indefinitely. Right now we put in a cap at $50 a ton. It seems like 50 is kind of a good number right now. It's what's very close to the level that's been proposed by Senator Whitehouse for his federal legislation. It's also very close to what's called the social cost of carbon. That is the level of subsidy that fossil fuels are receiving right now by dumping their health costs, environmental costs on the people, on our society. And then there's also trigger language that's changed. Last year we put in a little clause that said this will only go into effect if Massachusetts passes a carbon pricing scheme at a very similar level. Now we're saying Massachusetts and one other state that's a member of REGGI, the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. So that's 9 states in the Northeast that already have a cap and trade system for their emissions. So that brings me to REGGI, and there's a few other things on here. To REGGI, right? People have heard of this, the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. It's basically is limited to the utility sector, and it says that if you're a utility and you can't reduce your emissions enough, you can buy them, these emission reduction credits at an auction. They've had now 38 auctions since it was created in 2008. When it was created in 2008, the price was $3.07 a ton. Not enough, we would argue, to really drive changes in people's decisions about their energy use and waste and renewables. After 38 auctions over the last 10 years, almost 10 years, the price of carbon under REGGI is only up to $3.80 a ton. So this is why a cap and trade, I personally used to be in favor of cap and trade systems. I think it's nice on paper, but it has not been predictable. And if people have to make decisions about how much money they're going to spend in their business on energy efficiency and renewables, they need to know what the price is going to be. So I think this is just not enough. And it's, again, just the utility sector. Our legislation is economy-wide. I think it's quite important that it be economy-wide because if you push down in one place, the waste and energy use will sprout up somewhere else. So how's that? You've already heard about how the funding could be used to spark our state economy, how this is working. What's happened in the past is each year we've had the bill introduced in both chambers for the last 3 years, and it's gone a little farther each year, and we're optimistic about this year. Last year we had an awesome hearing in the Senate Environment Committee. It went to, and then it was referred to the Senate Finance Committee and was never heard. This year we had a great hearing in the House Finance Committee, and we did not get to the floor. So we are very focused on making more of an impact, getting this bill to the floor this year and we think we have a chance, and we really appreciate your support for being here as we make that happen. Thank you very much.